For my project, I did the Iroquois Confederacy. Some background info. Uh, the 6 languages of the Iroquois Confederacy consisted of the Mohawk, the Sanka, the Oneida, the Onondaga, the Cayuga, and the Tuscarora. They are different enough that the speakers of the 6 languages cannot easily understand each other. Population at the height of the Confederacy. In the early 17th century, the Iroquois Confederacy was at the height of its power with about 12,000 people in the Six-Nation Confederacy. The culture. So the basic foundation of the Iroquois trade was fur. They were hunters of animals and gatherers of the earth's bounties. As well, they were farmers, and they were great farmers, as well as fishermen, utilizing many sources to sustain themselves. Corn, beans, and squash were important crops, would become known as the Three Sisters. They also grew and used tobacco leaf during spiritual ceremonies. The unique trade of the Iroquois was the village migration period. Every 10 to 30 years, the settlements would move and set roots in a new location, usually located near water. The reason for doing so was due to allow the soil to recover and let the earth rebuild the nutrients in the soil. And as well as letting the animals repopulate and the fish to be able to strengthen in numbers once again, so that in the future for their return it would be reset and the system would be proper once again. The family structure of the Iroquois people was matrilineal, meaning they trace roots through the mother's line. The housing was they lived in long houses made of wood and that they crafted from trees and stuff in their surrounding areas. That had usually consisted of the extended family. Families would occupy the different sections, commonly sharing the hearth houses, ruled by the elder female of the extended family housed within. The Iroquois had chiefs. The entire Six-Nation Confederacy has about 50 chiefs. The chiefs are all considered to have an equal voice to show that they are leaders. The peacemaker placed the antlers of the deer on the gustoeth, the headdress of every hoyan, which is a chief. When in council, every chief has an equal responsibility and equal say in the matters of the Haudenosaunee. Once a man is selected to be chief, he holds that position for life. Men do not campaign within the community for their such positions as being a chief. The clan mothers carefully watch the behavior of the young boys, the future chiefs, turning into men. Is the behavior of the young men to determine if they are good morals to choose to be the chief of the tribe. If a leader is not fulfilling his responsibilities, the clan mothers are able to watch over them because they're always around them, and they can be removed from power. And then we have the shamans. Every nation has at least one shaman. A shaman is an expert on the spirit world. Through the rituals, he can come into contact with the spirits and acquire great power. According to indigenous peoples' beliefs, he is able to prevent illness and suggest remedies to those who are sick. Some shamans specialize in certain areas such as finding missing persons or objects or finding game for hunting. So the arts of the Iroquois Confederacy and the people. So this is prior to the European contact. The Iroquois wore clothing and shoes made of deer hide. They decorated clothing with intricate geometric curving designs, some resembling plants or creatures. Originally, the designs were made of a porcupine quills, prepared by softening them or dyeing them with natural colors, and then weaving them onto the hide surface. After Europeans arrived, the Iroquois traded for metal goods, woolen cloth, and small glass beads. The beads then replaced the quill work for beaded designs on clothing, shoes, and bags. The Iroquois were also expert mask makers. They used corn husks to weave a type of mask called a husk face mask, associated with the harvest of corn, a crop vital to the community's survival. The Iroquois also carved basswood to create a type of mask called a false face mask. These faces with controlled facial features were usually painted red and edged with black horsehair. They were used in healing ceremonies to scare away harmful spirits. First contact in 1535, the explorer Jacques Cartier came up the St. Lawrence River searching for gold, spice, and sugar. Instead, they met with the Iroquois off the St. Lawrence River. There were many different resistances that the Iroquois faced. For example, the French-Indian War of 1754, Proclamation of 1763, and the Pontiac War, Battle of Point Pleasant in 1773, as well as the Revolutionary War in 1776. The Europeans used the Iroquois on trade of furs with themselves, as well as gaining the support of the Iroquois to help the British to be able to defeat the French. The American Revolution caused the 6 tribes of the Iroquois to divide. The Oneida and the Tuscarora sided with the Americans, and then Mohawk and Onondaga, the Cayuga, the Seneca, and the Oneidas sided with the British. The British gained control of most northeastern USA and eastern Canada. The Europeans changed Iroquois' battle strategies, and there were more fights between the tribe because all they wanted was to trade fur with the Europeans. The fighting led to the extinction of 2 tribes. The church. In truth, the plight of the Native Americans in North America was a source of great concern to the church, and missionaries distinguished themselves for their heroic defense of Indian rights. But it is unfair to blame the church for the action of the European powers, who regularly punished the Jesuits, Franciscans, Augustinians, and countless priests, nuns, and lay people for speaking out in defense of the suffering natives. So this one discusses the fall of the Iroquois Confederacy, or the Six Nations. The fall of the Iroquois Confederacy, a major split among the 6 nations of the Iroquois Confederacy. The fall of the Iroquois Confederacy followed the American Revolution. The military defeat of the British and their native allies brought ruin and end to the Iroquois' independence. In the United States, much of the Iroquois' homeland was surrendered to New York land speculators in a series of treaties following the Revolutionary War. Despite this, most Seneca, Tuscarora, and Onondaga avoided removal during the 1830s and have remained in New York. The heart of the Iroquois people today live in what is now New York State. The Tuscaroras originally lived in the south but migrated north to join the rest of the Iroquois tribes. Many Iroquois people still live in New York today or across border in Canada along Ontario and Quebec. The population of the Iroquois is about 125,000, but the nations are much smaller. These are the sources that I have used for my video. And the reason I chose to do Iroquois Confederacy is I've always been really interested in how powerful and how they had one of the best and most powerful democracy systems that was very always so true and ran straight forward. And they had the United States government had taken some of their values and put it into their government system because the Iroquois were really good at making a great government and following the laws, the rituals, and the rules that they needed to in order for their confederacy to keep on existing for as long as it did.